This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, so fine. So now we would like to talk about identifiers concepts. So let's have a um, just have a identifier. Tell me. So we seen our last class keywords, right? Keywords means some of the names which are already defined, okay, in a Python programming language. So those names we are calling it's a keyword. But when it comes to the identifier, which is the words, which are also names or words, okay? So these particular names are defined by whom? Defined by the programmer. So programmer can have some requirements now while writing the program. By the time he want to be give some name entities for variables. So if you want to give the names for variables, okay, if you want to give the names for no names for classes, I mean, well, if you want to give the names for names for functions, so if you want to give the names for variables, classes, and functions, then the identifiers will help you actually. Okay, so identifiers is the just a programmer defined names. The reason why the programmer is defining, the only thing is that just to give the name entities for variables, classes, and functions. Clear? For example, let's talk about the variable concepts. Okay, let's talk about the variables, right? So what is a variable? First, we'll talk about the variables. Then after how we can defining the variables, I will explain you once I done the variables. Okay. So variables means which are the just a names. Okay. Names means what? It's identifiers. Identifier. Okay. So variables means it's a identifiers, but here we have a names. Identifiers means it's a names only, right? So here the identifier, what it is doing, holding some information. Names or hold some information or hold some data that we are calling it say variables. In Python programming language, how we can declare, how we can defining the variables. So here we can have a identifier word or name, and we can directly assigning the data. So you don't need to declare actually. So we just directly defining the data. So this is the data will be holding into this identifier name. Okay, identifier name. Is it clear? This is the syntax for the variables. Sorry, this is the syntax for the variables. For example, I have a data is 100. So this 100 I want to be hold in one specific name because of every time accessing the 100. It's just little bit tough for us. Okay, if you want to change the data in a user requirement or user environment, okay, so which is not possible once you make it the constant numbers. Okay, so because of that one, we can have the names, then you can change whenever you want it. Okay, for example, a equal to 100. Here the a is the identifier or variable. A is the identifier or variable. Okay, so here the a which is holding some data which is 100. So this is fine. So we are not getting any error here. For example, I want to defining one name is var, and which is holding the data is 34. Okay, so even if you try to with help of the print function, we can print it. Here also we are not getting any kind of error. For example, some situations we might use the some digits, we can try for it. So even this kind of situation also we are not getting any kind of error. We got the output only. And we might use some uppercase letters and smaller case letters, and we can use the digits as well, and we can try to print this particular data and VA4R. Okay, even this one also, it could be a, you're not getting any kind of error. See here, different names are help you to store different data. Okay, and so unfortunate, I just want to start with the digits. Then what happens if we try to hold 6 var equal to 6 var equal to 45? We got some error. There is syntax error. Okay, for example, here we have some keywords, right? So these keywords I try to use as a identifier or a variable. So even this kind of situation also, we got an error. Okay, and we might use some special characters. If you want to use some kind of special characters to hold some data into the variables. Okay, so if I use some special characters inside of the identifier name as identifier name or variable name, so we are getting some syntax error. See here, we are getting some syntax error. Here we are getting some syntax error. Okay, but some situations which you are not getting any kind of error, that means there are some rules are there for the identifier definition. So what are the rules we have it, I can list here. Okay, so you have to remember this particular rules. You need to follow this particular rules when you want to be write some information. Okay, what are the rules? What are the rules? The rules is we can use the alphabets. It may be uppercase letters. We can use alphabets. Okay, uppercase letters as well as smaller case letters also we can use it. We won't get any kind of error. And we can use underscore. So underscore means what? Shift with minus, right? For example, here we can start with the underscore. Here we are not getting any kind of error because of we started with the underscore. Yeah, so we can start or we can place in some middle or end. It's up to your choice. We can use the underscores to defining the variables. Okay, we are not getting any kind of error. So here that kind of rules I am writing over here, you just need to follow it. Okay, we can use underscore. And third one is we can use the digits. We can use digits, but 0 to 9 we can use it, but when you started with if you started with the 0, it could be error. So that we can say don't start with digit. Don't start with a digit. Okay, the fourth one is we can use don't use keywords. So I list some keywords in a previous session. So those particular names, if you try to use as identifier, it could be an error. Last but not least, we have some special characters except underscore. Those characters also don't use it. Don't use special characters. Okay, so this is what I try to explain you. So I think so from the concept of the identifiers and variables. Identifiers is the user defined names, and the example of the identifier is a variable. And I hope so you understood the what is identifier and what is variable. So Mohammed, can you confirm me? Did you got my point?
Can you explain one more time?
What you wanted?
Identifier and variables.
Okay, so one more time I was trying to explain you. Okay, so
Okay.
identifier is the concept. So what is the use of this identifier? Some situations you want to use some naming conventions. Okay, so if you want to give some names in a program, that particular situation, identifiers will help you. So at what are the situations the identifier will comes as the names, we can use the variable names, we can use the classes names, we can use the function name. Don't worry what is variables, what is classes, and what is function. In upcoming classes, we can try to understand the class and function, but this time we'll try to go for understanding the variables. Okay. If I
Okay.
give some data, for example, if I give you 1,000 rupees for you, then what you can do? We can save somewhere else, right? We can store somewhere else, right? In the same way, if you have a data in a programming language, if you want to store that particular data, variables will help you. Clear? Clear, right?
Yes. Yes.
If you want to defining this particular names, we have to follow some rules. These are the 5 rules we have to obey while giving the names for the variables, classes, and functions. Clear? So the rules is, so if I use the special characters, we will get the syntax error. If I use the some keywords, here we have some keywords, right? These keywords, if I try to use the as the identifier, then it could be syntax error. Okay, and if we started with the digit also, that is also giving the some syntax error. Other than these 3 rules, we can use anything and we can use wherever we want it, wherever we want it. Okay, now clear?
Yeah.
Would you like to note any information here?
No, you can continue. I'm taking note on my side. Bless you.
Excuse me. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, season is changing. That's why.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, fine. So I hope you understood the identifiers and variables concepts. Okay, would you like to note or else can I continue?
No, carry on, please.
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Dad is calling me. Just 1 second. He is in India. Just wait a minute. Okay, yeah, fine. So let's continue with the next concept. I hope you understood the variables and identifiers. These 2 topics are done, right? Now the second thing is data types in Python programming language. So which means that, so the Python programming language which is supported the some sort of data types. So the variables can hold different type of data. So here the Python is supporting the 10 data types. The Python can hold the 10 type of data types. Okay, so the first one is, it's an integer type. Second one is float type of data. Third one is complex type. Fourth one is bool type, boolean type. Fifth one is none type. Let's try to understand these 5 data types, then we'll look for the next 5 data types. Okay, so here integers, let's try to go for understanding the integers. When we are talking about integer data type, so here the data is the numbers, the number which is the real number. Okay, so whole number, nothing but. Real number or whole number? So it can be positive number, it can be a negative number. For example, I have a variable. If I hold the some positive number, so that is also integer, and if we can use the 0, also it's integer. We can hold some negative number, it is also integer only. So this kind of real numbers or whole numbers, that we are calling it say integer type. So in case of Python programming language, if the variables are holded some data, I want to know the data type of anything, then we can use the type function. We can use the type function. So I want to find out the data type of any variable. We just give you the type of A. Meanwhile, I just want to find out the data type of B. If I want to find out the data type of C, then we can use the type of C. Okay, this is the way we can try to find out the data type of any variable. Here I have the three variables which was storing the different data elements, and what could be the data type of that particular data variable or variable, then we can use the type function. Clear? Is it clear, Mohammed?
Yes.
Okay, now so now we have the real pointing numbers that we are calling it's a float data type. The next concept is it's a float data type. Float means real floating numbers or rational numbers. So usually rational numbers we are calling it say float data. For example, we have the 12.3. 12.3 is a fractional data or not? Rational data. Usually we can call it a rational data or fractional data. 0.0, something we have some kind of floating point, a decimal point with the dot symbol. Okay, this is the, okay, this is the mantissa. So 12.3, 0.0, minus 24.5. Here the data is the negative or positive or 0, but there it which is having some kind of rational characteristics, then that kind of data type we are calling it same float data type. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
So is there any question regarding about these two data types, integer and float?
No, you can.
Okay. Now we have the third data type, which is the complex data type. So complex means in mathematical notations, which is having the real number and plus one is imaginary number. Okay, so the real number we can representing as the, okay, X format, and imaginary number we can representing as the J prefix we required. So here X comma Y or real or imaginary, it can be float, it can be X comma Y, okay, belongs to, okay, belongs to what? Belongs to, it may be integers or it may be float. Okay, so when we have the X plus YJ format, that kind of data type we are calling it say float data type. So for example, we can have the data is 12.0J. So here 0 is some number and J is the notation of the imaginary number. So I want to find out the data type of A, which is a complex. So here the 12 plus 0J, which is holding the real, and 0 is the imaginary. 12 is the real and 0 is the imaginary. Okay, this is the complex data type. Some situations both also we can use the float only. So 1.2, 0.0, we can use the both are float also, or else one is the float and one is the integer. Okay, so even that situation also it could be the complex data type, and the first one is the float and second one is the integer. Even this situation also it could be complex data type only. Okay, so here, so complex data type means the variable which is holding the somewhat imaginary number as well as real number, that we are calling it say complex data type. Clear?
Yeah, carry on.
Okay. So real also it can be anything, and complex also it can be anything. Next one is bool data type. When it comes to the bool data type, so which we have the keywords. There are two keywords are there, true and false. Okay, true and false. So when we are holding the true and false keywords, make sure that it is the capital letter and false is also capital letter. These are the two keywords are it was which can be help you to defining the boolean data. Okay, if you want to defining the boolean data, we can use the true or false keyword. Okay, and for example I have the b, which we are holding the some kind of false keyword then into one particular variable, then it could be the boolean data or not. If you want to find out, then we can use the type of b. So this is the way you can able to go for defining the boolean data type also. Okay,
All right.
now okay, now we have the one more data type, which is the none data type. So none type means when you want to be hold nothing, nothing which is holding. Okay, nothing, we are not holding anything. That kind of data type we are calling it say none type. So none type we can defining as the none keyword. Even none is also it's a keyword. So this is the way you can able to go for defining the none type data, boolean data, complex data, integer data, and floated data. These are the 5 data types which comes under to the data types concepts only. We have the 5 more data types are there. The first one is the string data type. First one is the string data type. Second one is the list data type. We have the few more data types are there, right? And which is the sixth data type, which is the string, and seventh, which is the list. And we have the eighth data type, which is the tuple data type. Ninth is the set data type. Okay. Last but not least, which is the dictionary data type. Okay. These are the 5 data types we have it. Those data types we'll talk by tomorrow's session, Mohammed. Hmm? I
Okay.
think now you're traveling, I think so, right? You're in the middle of some.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I came to somebody's house. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. You can. So that's what the reason I would like to, because of this 10 data type. This is the last 5 data types is very important. So those things will continue by tomorrow's session. Okay.
Yeah. Let's try to send me the recording, please. I can
Sure.
review it. Okay.
I will
And
do it.
you're not available around 5, right? 5 p.m. after 5 my time Eastern. PM.
Give me some days. Okay. Once everything is confirmed, then we have a direct communication, right, instead of the client. Okay. So that
Okay.
time we can fix some flexible timings. Okay. So this time officially we have to follow one specific timing without any effective of you and me and other staff. Okay. So
Okay.
once
Sounds good.
our 100% enrollment is done, then we had direct communication for you and me. Then we'll sort out this particular issue. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good,
Until then,
Anton. Thank you.
yes. Yeah. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye. Thanks.